A sexually underperforming man refuses to admit he has a problem, blames public health for his issue, and ultimately ends up ending the world. Dr. Strangelove, or a commentary on the 2024 election. Folks, today we're doing fluoride. Let's buckle up.
Do you realize that fluoridation is the most monstrously conceived and dangerous communist plot we have ever had to face?
Now, if I sound a little bored about this, there's a reason I haven't tackled this before, because it is boring. I wrote pieces about this 11 years ago for the Irish Times, 10 years ago for The Guardian, and the same nonsense was around then, and it was old then. Unfortunately, with RFK Jr. appearing on Tucker Carlson saying this kind of nonsense, we got to go and revisit it, particularly given that he might have a serious role in the new administration. So let's just very quickly do this. Sorry.
And it causes dramatic IQ loss in children, and particularly in unborn fetuses. It also causes bone cancer, it causes arthritis, and it causes the deterioration of bones, thyroid injuries. It also calcifies the pineal gland of the human brain, which is the part of our brain that actually creates our spiritual feelings. It's
Really?
yeah.
Does fluoride cause cancer? Absolutely not. This claim first got traction in the 1970s when a bit of a crank doctor tried to compare cancer death rates in fluoridated versus non-fluoridated areas. But he utterly failed to adjust for known factors like age, and he played fast and loose with the statistics. The National Cancer Institute in the US absolutely slammed his evidence, and I quote, his errors, omissions, and statistical distortions in his report. And they stated, results of this analysis fail to support any suspicion of hazard associated with fluoridation. The fact that we are 50 years later and RFK Jr. is still citing debunked things like that, and the whole anti-fluoride movement do that, by the way, shows they don't really understand evidence. The point about IQ is an interesting one, and this is based on something that happened quite recently. There was a study that looked at highly fluoridated areas, and these are areas, by the way, that fluoride isn't added to water, it's just naturally present, and they're trying to see if there was a negative correlation with IQ. The study was incredibly controversial because A, it wasn't designed in a statistical way that could really test that thing. It found a minor difference by 2 to 5 IQ points, but as people, including the American Dental Associations, pointed out, it was statistically a mess, and you couldn't use it to make predictive claims. So that claim is nonsense too. And you have to be impressed by someone that can say something that is so nonsensical and so new agey that even Tucker Carlson goes, huh?
Of our brain that actually creates our spiritual feelings.
Really?
Yeah.
So not only is Kennedy wrong and making up health harms that don't exist, he's also neglecting the massive benefit here and doing a massive disservice to public health, as he so often does. So firstly, fluoride usually naturally occurs. It's in the minerals and rocks. The reason it's added to some places is because it's not occurring there. It was observed from the 1930s that areas that had naturally occurring fluoride in their rocks that got into their water, people there had much fewer cavities. So in countries like parts of America, Ireland, Canada, New Zealand, it is added to bring it up to a level that you usually get in water, usually about 0.7 milligrams per liter. So very, very low levels. And that has massive benefit. And even in the era of fluoridated toothpaste, that has huge benefit. Here's a recent study from Ireland finding that even now, adding it to our water, even when everyone has fancy toothpaste, still reduces the amount of cavities and saves people money. It also protects people's health. And that's what public health is about doing. Interventions that help an entire society, not just the incredibly rich and wealthy and privileged like Robert F. Goddamn Kennedy. The man is a Kennedy, not one of the good ones, but still. So this is the whole idea that public health is designed to help everyone with interventions that really benefit society, and they do. And that he would neglect that says a lot about him. And I got to point out again that he's reanimating fluoride conspiracy theories that they were mocking in the 1960s because they were old then.
On no account will a commie ever drink water, and not without good reason.
So this is nonsense, and I if I seem bored, it's because I am bored. This is old, reheated crap. It's actually such old nonsense that I covered it in my book, The Irrational Ape, or Good Thinking if you're in America, if you want to know more about it, and kind of went into the history of why it's so much nonsense. And RFK Jr. is not a credible person. He's an anti-vaccine activist. He has a list of controversies as long as one's arm. But the really worrying thing is that he has been promised a central role in the new US administration led by the Orange Goblin. And he tweets things like this. So that is quite deeply concerning, that someone so unbelievably incompetent would be able to capture public health and really cause harm. So on that grim note, I stop here. But please, if you hear anti-fluoride conspiracy theories, the 1940s called and they want their dumb ideas back.